Hello, good evening, and welcome to Telling Tales, episode 2 of our Call of Cthulhu campaign, Darkwood. Hopefully you were here last week to catch episode 1 or have caught up since on YouTube. If not, then don't worry, we'll have a little catch-up for you, and hopefully you won't feel like you've missed too much. But you should go back and probably watch the YouTube of the first episode anyway. After this one, it doesn't matter. So, yes, let's introduce our stream manager, Matt. Hi, Matt.
Hello, Jonny. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm wonderful. We didn't converse before this. This is the first time we're interacting at all tonight, isn't it?
Or ever, in fact.
Yeah, I have no idea who you are.
For those who haven't seen episode 1, this is the first time Matt and I have ever spoken.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as far as we know, but our minds have been shredded by cosmic horror, so...
It's true, yeah.
I'll be stream managing tonight.
Yes, so any pictures that you see appear on screen will be appearing on screen courtesy of Matt. Not necessarily drawn by him, but appearing because of him.
In a cosmic sense as well as in a technological sense. Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt.
No problem.
For those of you familiar with the channel, you will be aware that we are not only on Twitch, but on YouTube. Also, if you watch the first bit of this video where I told you to go look on YouTube, you'll be aware that we're on YouTube. And we are on Discord. You can join that without being a patron of ours. But if you go to our Patreon, which there is also a link to below, you can sign up to get access to different areas of the Discord, which is very exciting. And we also have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and that standard good stuff that everybody has. And the links to all of those are below. This is the third series, weekly series that is now running on the channel. The others are Simba Room and Vampire. So obviously we run on a Monday night. Simba Room is on... Matt, remind me. Simba Room is Tuesday. Vampire is Tuesday.
Vampire is Tuesday. Yeah, Simba Room is Wednesday. You got it. Matt. You got it, Jonny.
Monday, Call of Cthulhu. And the other ones on the days that I just said that I've already forgotten again. And there are also monthly one-shots on the first Saturday of every month, with varying systems and run by and including various different people. The next one, I believe, is on the first Saturday in April and is Morkborg, Matt? That's right, isn't it, Matt?
Yes.
Thanks, Matt. Or Merkborg, I suppose, if you include the umlaut. That is all of our initial promo stuff. Thank you for listening. So, in episode 1 last week, we introduced you to our 4 main characters, and they were on a train journey, all heading towards or to or further than Glasgow on the day train. So I think if we could bring Matthew on now. Hiya.
Hey, Jonny. How's it going?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Very well, thanks.
Good. So Dane found himself on a train north. There is Dane. Would you like to remind people why Dane was heading north?
Yeah, sure. So Dane has just returned to England from a failed expedition in the Himalayas, and he joined the train in London and was heading up north into Scotland with a plan to go to the Isle of Skye and begin some kind of mountaineering training and a little bit of time away as well to recoup from his adventures.
Yeah. How did he find the train journey for the most part?
So I think it was all very smooth until we sort of began to cross the border past Carlisle and approach Gretna, after which point the weather seemed to take a pretty dramatic turn for the worse. Yeah. We were looking out the window when we stopped briefly at Gretna, and there was a lot of vocal discussion with whoever was running the train and people outdoors, and I think we had to take a detour.
Yes, you switched to a different line. which headed also north, but slightly further west. And then you ended up being caught up again at Thornhill. Jack's character Melvin. Hello. Would you like to talk to us about Thornhill, Jack?
Yeah. So we arrived there, and we all sort of went off to do separate little things while we waited for some further transportation to another village where we'd be stopping the night. So Melvin, my character, went off to find a phone so he could sort of call the office and let them know he wasn't going to be there today, where he had a bit of a tense sort of conversation with his uncle. And then Dane and Dr. Jemima went off and explored the village together, where they found a stream, which was then drunk out of, which hopefully, won't come back to bite anyone in the backside at some point, but, it might not. I don't know. And then Esther went off to the pub, like all Brits tend to do when everything goes wrong. It's either the pub or a cup of tea. So she went there, had a drink, which wasn't to her taste, and then, I think Melvin joined her, and then eventually sort of reconvened back at the train, and then onto a cart onto another village.
Yeah. So the train staff had kindly organised transport to the village of Durisdeer, and so a young man had shown up driving this horse-drawn cart, and the train staff had advised you that he didn't really speak, having they believed having come back from the war. So he dropped your things into the car, and you had a relatively quiet journey through the valley to Durisdeer, where you arrived, and there was a bit of a strange scene once you got into the pub. So Skye's character Esther, hello Skye, would you like to explain what you witnessed when you arrived in the pub?
A very unfriendly looking, would it be reverend?
Yes, a priest.
Yes, a priest, a rather unfriendly priest. He looked quite upset, and he was whispering to the barman. And with my super spy listening skills, I overheard him saying that he shouldn't be letting us stay. And then he saw us come in and sort of did the sort of frustrated silent walkout thing that always happens in stories like these.
And then following this, you spoke properly to the barman, Duncan Kilbride, and also the only other guest at the pub, Willie, who is writing a book about the vernacular of the area. And you had some fun, I was going to say interesting, but probably more fun conversations with him in the pub that evening. And then eventually everybody turned in, at which point things got a little strange. I think Sam's character, Dr. Wallace, was of the four people probably the most involved in what happened. Sam, would you like to give us a description of what occurred?
Yeah, so we were all heavily involved in the dream, I feel, which we all had the same dream of being waking up in a coffin and hearing a sound, which was, we realized, the scratching of ourselves against the coffin to try and escape. I believe we all woke up about that the same time then, and realized that we weren't in coffins, thankfully, because that would be a very quick start. And that actually there was a scratching sound coming from the door to mine and Esther's room. So Jemima was kind of stunned into silence, I think, and she was kind of like looking at Esther for not knowing what to do. And Esther presumed, I think it was some sort of prank or something by some children, and immediately started telling me about how it's probably some prank. At which point, said person, who was, as we found out, drawing on our door, fled and left the front door to the tavern open. And we went outside, had a look, and saw a strange chalk drawing on both of our doors. But no others, I believe, just the doors of our 2 rooms.
That's correct. And I think, Matt, there should be a drawing of the...
Drawing?
Yes, of the very ornate chalk drawing that was on your doors. So at this point as well, obviously, you'd closed your door back up, and Willie had been the one to advise you that it was only on your doors and not on his. And that's where we left things last week. So I think now's a good time for a sanity roll.
I knew that was going to happen. So remind us how it works. We've got to roll under our sanity. Is that right?
Yes. Lower than or equal to.
And after that, I imagine we find out who the best draftsman in the village is.
I passed. I got 30.
Okay.
I also passed with 42.
Okay.
I did not pass with 52.
Okay. Just take 1 point of sanity loss.
Apologies. After the big crash, I forgot to
That's
open
all
the
right.
character document, so that'll be there in a second.
While you're figuring that out, I think Jemima has got her box brownie camera and is taking a picture of the drawing on the door.
Very sensible.
Although I've also realized there's no way of actually developing this film currently, so it's probably not that useful, but I'm going to do it anyway.
So I'm trying to get above or below my sanity.
Below or equal to.
I got. Let me just remind me.
Yeah.
Which way round is it in terms of the dice? Because you're rolling 2 D100s, but it's is it you just pick one, which is going to be the.
Yeah, so you just, if you've got 2 that are literally just a 0 to 9, then you just say this colour's going to be a 10 and this colour's going to be the units.
Okay, well, honestly, I failed.
Okay.
I'd like to say that it was the other way around.
Just
I got
1
a
point
72.
of sanity loss. Okay. If you knock your sanity down by 1 on your character sheet. Melvin and Esther feeling a little shaken by this sort of strange occurrence in the middle of the night. As Jemima's taken the picture of the door, Willie's in the hallway still kind of also looking a little concerned, but still with his sort of trademark smile, but a little smaller than you'd seen it in the bar last night. He's kind of what do you think is have you upset somebody? I don't know why anybody would be. And then you hear the door downstairs slam shut and be bolted, and a heavy set of footsteps coming up the stairs.
Dane, are you outside your room?
I don't think I left. I think I woke up and this has all been taking place.
In that case, I move slightly closer to Esther. Sorry, Melvin.
And you hear, "Everybody all right up there?" And you recognise the voice of Duncan, the barman, as he rounds the corner into the hallway.
I don't think Jemima would reply immediately. I think she probably looks a bit, even though I didn't roll Sanity Loss, she's still quite unsettled. So
Yeah, I think we're all probably a bit shaken from this weirdness.
I'll just kind of point towards the door.
This wasn't any of yous?
I don't have that kind of artistic capability.
No.
I appreciate that honesty. Right. This is very strange. Is everybody okay?
You must have been there for ages to draw something that complex.
I think we're all okay.
Nobody's hurt.
Is Dane still asleep then? Sorry.
No, he's just kind of sat up in bed, watching everything go on.
Go on.
Sorry, I was going to say, Melvin, if you're still in the room, right? Or have you gone out into the hall?
I think he's probably opened the door and sort of gone out and he's sort of poking his head round.
I think I'll round somewhat on the barkeep, looking quite like upset and slightly angry.
Yeah, if you do that, I'll join you.
A lot less polite than usual. And go, is this a common occurrence around here?
I thought
is
you
this
said
some kind of joke.
I thought you said you bolted the door.
I did bolt the door.
Well, someone just bolted it just now.
Clearly not well enough.
Yes, that was me closing the door. I'm not really sure what happened in the interim.
Does anyone else have a key?
There's a couple of people with keys, but that doesn't really explain the bolt.
Is there any other way into the building through the basement?
I suppose, but the outside's padlocked.
I'm sorry, but do you know what this is?
It looks like a cross to me. Quite fancy.
And you've never seen it before?
Not exactly as portrayed there.
And this definitely has nothing to do with what I heard the priest saying to you when we stepped into the inn.
Well, I couldn't imagine so. Do you want to... anybody who's paying attention to this, would you like to make a roll on psychology?
Absolutely.
I also have some talking skills and whatnot, but I don't think I've got anything exactly that will help here. No, that's more for getting myself out of trouble rather than into it.
So I needed 50 or under, and I just passed with a 46.
Okay, great.
I did not pass.
Nope, I did not pass.
Okay. Dane, if you're still in bed, he wouldn't actually be in view of your door.
Okay, sure. So I think Dane's perhaps beginning to sort of creep out the room, but if he's maybe not made eye contact, we could skip that.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, he kind of says that he doesn't think that it was anything to do with that, and then he goes, I'm just going to head outside and check the locks on the basement outside.
I'll come with you.
Very well.
And I was just
he kind of stands in the hallway. If you're,
I'll turn to Melvin and be like, "Aren't you going to come with? You're going to let me go out there alone?"
I mean, you're with him. Okay.
Duncan stands while you presumably put at least some shoes on. Before heading outside.
I'll just throw my weather beater on and hurry down after him. And I'm sort of shaking. I'm trying to cover it up slightly with my anger, but I'm obviously
before you leave away from us, I hand you your cane as well.
I'm like, oh, thank you very much. And I will briskly go down the stairs, but slightly wincing as I do so, using the cane for support.
Cool. He leads the way down, unbolts the door again, unlocks the door, opens, and and it's pretty dark outside. But he's got a hand lantern, and leads you around the back of the pub, and goes to like the kind of storm cellar area, and pulls on. There's a chain wrapped around the handles, and the padlock is still intact there.
I'm going to. I've got a pen light in my pocket because I keep it in my weather meter, and I'm just gonna pull it out and shine it at the lock and just really scrutinize it.
Yeah. There doesn't seem to be anything untoward there. It's not scratched or
There's not it's not like he's pretending
damaged in any way.
Type thing. Okay.
No. You're welcome to. Yeah. He kind of if you go to have a decent look at it, he kind of hands you the lock, and you can pull it, and there's no give or anything there.
What's the ground like? Is there any chance I could see it being mussed up or?
The weather was obviously quite bad yesterday, so it's quite sort of slushy. Yeah. There's no obvious sort of footsteps up to it or anything like that.
I'll turn to the barkeep and go, well, they didn't get in that way, apparently.
Certainly seems so. Very curious. And he starts to head back inside, and then kind of turns to check that you're both following before he continues on.
I'll be following.
I'll ask him and say, is there no chance anyone could have sort of shifted one of the windows open and climbed in that way?
I'm not sure. I'll have a look around them, but they obviously left through the door. That's what woke me, was the door kind of flying open, and so it must be somebody with a key, unless they picked it. But still, it doesn't explain the bolt. I think the best thing for this is for us all to go back to bed. I'll push a table in front of the door just for extra security.
Before I go back up to bed, I think I'll turn to him and just be like, well, we're not going to be here very long, so doesn't mean much to us. But I would certainly suggest that you inform the local constable about these kinds of going-ons if they're an occurrence in your pub.
Yes, of course. I'll be passing it on in the morning. Right.
At this point, is everyone back inside?
We're all back in. Yeah, we've so still downstairs. I think Esther, Melvin, and Duncan, unless either of those two have headed up before. Mm-hmm. But yes, I think everyone's back in.
So I think Dane is going to kind of gather himself a bit, walk downstairs, and apologize to everyone for being a bit slow off the mark. But I had the most vivid dream. I'm sorry, I was just kind of coming around from that. How did everything look outside?
Fine. Yes. Well, it didn't look like he could have gotten in from the back through the basement. Melvin did say something about getting in through the windows, which I suppose was possible.
The scratching on the door, I heard it in my dream myself. It was very unsettling.
Yes, so did I.
I heard the same thing.
Yeah, I was in a coffin and scratching to get out, which was not great.
That's odd.
Jemima just sits down.
Yeah.
I mean, unsettling. But I suppose it's just because of the scratching. Why? What did you guys dream?
Identical.
The same.
Can everyone make another sanity roll, please?
Yeah, that's definitely that moment. Yeah, I do fail this time.
I fail either way you look at it. But it's a 79. I'm looking forward to losing all of my marbles.
I got a 74 and a 75. So just skimmed it.
Jack, did Melvin pass or fail?
He passed.
Oh,
Okay.
there you go.
Sam and Skye, have you got a D6 to hand?
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So just a D3. So 1 or 2 is a 1, 3 or 4 is a 2, 5 and 6 is a
3. Jemima is thoroughly unsettled by this. I mean, to be fair, that doesn't make any sense scientifically. That you would all have an identical dream makes no sense at all. The door, weird, some crazy person. This.
What does it mean if I got a 3?
You lose 2 sanity.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I think Jemima becomes really actually visibly concerned by this and kind of jumps out of her chair and then immediately basically not really. She runs upstairs and just starts looking at the floor outside the door. She's immediately going to start searching, see if there's any muddy trail or any sign that someone was outside the door with shoes from outside.
I think
she's trying to rationalize things.
I think I'll join her and I'll sort of stomp past and just look around in the bedrooms and go, maybe there's a radio or something.
If you stomp, you haven't been upstairs yet. If you come up, I say stop. You've come from outside. Your shoes.
Oh. Yeah, and I'll just sort of throw them off in the corner, and be they must have. It must be something psychological, something somebody's playing a radio or something. Get us to think all the same things.
Sam, can you make me a spot hidden roll?
Absolutely. Jemima is actively searching and does not reply.
And yeah.
Oh, that was terrible. Nope.
Okay. You do spot some sort of muddy sort of trail, but you can't see. There's no definition to it, so you can't. So something physical has come in from outside. You would presume.
Does it? Yeah, is it wet, as in someone has come up, that person who...
It looks reasonably fresh.
Yeah. Okay, so that would mean that person came from outside, regardless. I mean, given no one else should have been outside our door at that time of night with boots on, that would be logical. Yeah. Okay. Jemima just quietly says, someone came in. Someone must have.
I think at that point, honestly, I'll probably be going around the room and throwing stuff aside and looking for any device or something. I've got it in my head where I'm just they were trying to mess with us in our dreams type thing. And this is a whole psychological thing.
Jemima is now sat on the floor, cross-legged, staring at the pattern on the door.
If you're making noise, if Esther's making noise, I think Duncan's going to come up and kind of poke his head through the door if you're kind of throwing things around, and says, sorry, Mum, I think it's probably best if you just head back to bed. I've no explanation for you of what's happened, but apart from the door, it could be, I'd say it was kids joking around, but I can't in all good conscience explain the door to you.
Have you ever met a child who can draw like that? And if you have, I'd like to know.
Okay, I understand. I think that things might look a little different in the morning when we've had a bit more rest.
I think I'll turn to, I'll go, Dr. Wallace. What do you think about this?
I'm not really sure I reply at all. I think I'm kind of pale-faced and just staring at the door, and I'm just kind of
I think I should go, Dr. Wallace.
I certainly don't think I'm going to be sleeping here anymore.
Well, there you have it.
I mean,
and I'll yell for the other two to come up. You're
Yeah,
Mr. Harrow, Mr. Caffey.
Yeah, I imagine we go upstairs and say, what, anything new up here? What have you found something?
Someone came from outside, certainly. It's not too surprising, but
How do you know?
I just point at some mud on the floor. No one else has been up here with boots until now.
Could that not have been us as we arrived? Could we not have dragged that in?
I'll get it on my finger and show that it's wet.
Well,
would have dried.
Weird question. This is out of character. Is it an outdoor toilet?
There's a bathroom down the hall.
Yeah, so no.
Which has a toilet in, so there may also be an outdoor toilet, but that one is
in the night. Somebody would be using the indoor one.
Mm.
Okay. Did we not just bring that up? Was that not you, Esther, bringing that up now?
No. Dr. Wallace had found it before I came up.
Jemima's just like quietly saying to herself, like maybe not over and over, but now and then while this conversation is going on. But the dream, it doesn't make sense.
I mean,
so I'm not going to be going back to sleep, but it's probably important that some of us get some rest. I'm very happy to stay up. I'll sit on the stairs. There's just no chance I'm getting back to sleep after this.
I'll nod, but I'll turn to the door, like at our bedroom door, and like shut it so I can see the markings. And I'll just I'll take my thumb and I'll just smear a bit of it across, and then look at it and just kind of I can't quite believe it.
Should we wipe these off?
I think that'd be best. Yeah.
Dr. Wallace, you got a picture of it, did you not?
Yes, I did.
When can it be developed?
Not here. I don't have the tools myself. I would need
I think
a
we'd better
studio.
leave them on.
I mean, I've got, we could use a bit of paper that I've got in my briefcase, and I've got a pen if someone could do a sketch or something. I don't know.
Jemima jumps up at this idea, having apparently not had the thought to draw it at all, and immediately goes to get her notebook.
While we're here, what exactly do you remember about your dream, specifically?
Well, I was in a coffin, apparently, just like everybody else, and scratching to get out.
Yeah, I mean, people have similar dreams. I'm sure we've all had dreams of our teeth all falling out and stuff. Maybe it's just one of them.
Was there anything different though? It was the same, a simple dream. The sound matched the sound of the door, nothing more. Not like that.
Willie still stood in the hallway and he says, "Sounds like you've had a horrible night. I tell you what, I've got a couple of good nights' rest under my belt. Your man Dane here says that he's going to stay awake. I'll stay awake with Dane and keep him company."
Thanks, Willie. Is there anything that resembles text or characters within the image on the door?
Doesn't seem to be, no, from what you can pick out on it.
Thank you. Jemima is sketching this as we talk. What's the skill in sketch?
Yeah, you can make a pretty good, you can kind of trace over it, so you can get.
As soon as Jemima's done, she kind of steps up immediately, throws her notebook on the bed, and then just goes straight to the bathroom.
Duncan says, "Well, right, I'll go sort out downstairs and make sure that the door's blocked off. I'll check the windows, and then I'm gonna head back to bed. And if you need anything, then just shout me."
Does our bedroom have a window?
There's a small window in the bedroom, yeah.
What does it look onto the street or the back of the pub?
Yours is to the back of the pub.
Is there
so
any,
there are houses out that way, but the Melvin's and Dane's looks out into the square at the front where the memorial is.
Okay. I think I will. I'll walk. Have they got the gas lights on in the street? Haven't they? So I'll walk into their room, like completely uninvited. I don't particularly care at this point, and I'll just go to the window, and I'll just sort of eye the monument for a second, because I've got this horrible suspicion. And sort of like, that cross, isn't that just a cross like that? And does it look similar at all?
The monument is not yet complete.
Yeah.
So at the moment, it's just sort of square upwards.
No cross.
As far as they've got so far, no shape on it though.
So like some cult thing is happening in this village that I am looking forward to leaving. And I'll walk back into the corridor, and I'll sort of turn to everyone and go, I've been in many places where people have very strange superstitions, especially after they've been through a trying situation. People who've seen hardships. Unfortunately, well, let's just say this isn't the first time I've seen something a bit like this. Obviously not quite so odd. I would say it's probably none of our business. I'm sure they were going to do this to anybody who arrived in this town. So, it should be fine. And then I'll stomp back into the room and go, Dr. Wallace, are you coming to bed?
I think I was still in the bathroom.
Okay. And I'll sort of just like sit down on the bed and make no movement to take off any of my clothing, and just like sit there like very still and very frozen.
Dane is going to quickly return to his room to get his hunting knife and sort of wave it a bit and make a bit of a joke to the group, as if he needs it. But subtly you can see he's reassured. Just pop it on the stairs next to him while he's sitting down.
Stab it like into the floorboards or something.
Willie goes downstairs and returns with 2 wooden chairs, and kind of puts one for if Dane wants to sit.
I thought you were going to say he was just wielding chairs then. Jemima eventually comes out of the bathroom looking a little more colour in the face, and quietly moves to the room.
So before everyone's gone, Dane is kind of going to say, look, about the dream, I know it seems strange, but I've had my fair share of strange dreams, and we're very moldable. We're very easy to manipulate. Maybe it was something in the food, maybe it was something in the drink, maybe it was someone said. I think we just need to forget about it.
Yes, you're probably right.
I think before Melvin sort of turns in for the night, he'll sort of say to Dane, and Willie says, "Well, if any of you are feeling your eyelids getting heavy, feel free to wake me up. I'll swap out. Might not be very good with in sort of gestures towards the massive hunting knife, but I'll be sure to alert you if I need to, if you want." And then he'll sort of go into the room and go to bed.
I think Esther has had enough of a shock that she is going to rifle around in her belongings and kind of discreetly, but not that discreetly, get her little tiny handgun out, good for one shot, and just put it in her pocket, and then sit leaning, like sat up against the headboard, like dead upright, just like watching the door with my hand on it in my pocket.
Dr. Wallace is going to. There's lamps in the rooms, right? So like a little gas lamp.
Yeah.
So I will light the gas lamp and proceed to basically scribble in a journal for the whole rest of the night. Whether I'm actually writing anything useful or not, who knows? But it's definitely something she does when she's wants to be distracted. How unsubtly were you drawing the gun?
I reached down. I would have been turned away from you.
Okay, that's
and
fine.
like took it out and put it in my pocket.
I'm not paying that much attention, so you're all good. Not that I would be and run away. Just
staring hard at the door all night.
Out on the hallway, Willie kind of gives Dane a gentle elbow in the shoulder to get his attention, and says, "Slan Givar, by the way."
Cheers. While it's just the two of us, what is happening here?
Like our lovely barkeep there says, if it weren't for the door, I'd think it was kids playing some kind of, but I'm not sure. Maybe he didn't put the bolt across enough and the weather was bad yesterday. Maybe it's a wooden door. Maybe the weather's, shrunk or grown the door and it doesn't fit right anymore and it's blown. I don't know.
Well, I appreciate you staying with us.
It's easy for me. I'm not the one with the drawings on my doors.
Well, while we're here, one more for the road.
He gets a giant grin and he goes, "I'll be back in a second." And the rest of the night passes without incident. Do you think any of you would have dozed off?
I'm gonna roll the dice.
Potentially, yeah.
I think so. I think I eventually would. Like, what time did this occur?
About 3:15, something like that.
Maybe not then, actually, because the light would come pretty soon. I don't think actually.
Yeah, what time of year is it actually?
It's February, isn't it?
February.
Oh, so the light wouldn't come for a while.
Yeah. No, I think I'd probably be dozing off around 5 a.m. then.
Yeah.
I think I'd still stay awake.
Anyone who does fall asleep is woken around 8 by some clattering around in the kitchen area, which is basically directly underneath where the rooms are. So how that affects you in your current state of mind, being awoken by clattering, I will leave up to you. And Willie says to Dane, "Sounds like breakfast is on the way."
Well, that was a successful guard. Thanks for staying with us.
No problem.
I think Jemima probably comes out the room fairly immediately upon hearing the clattering, already fully dressed, and just goes, "Good morning," looking quite tired.
By that point, Willie's got up and is heading towards the bathroom, and he says, "Morning, Doctor."
We're both racing for the bathroom then, are we?
Yeah, maybe.
That was where I was heading.
If that becomes clear, then he sort of stops very pointedly, and
I will nod and give him a short, curt smile, and then go on to the bathroom.
And he heads back to the chair. And you, after a couple more minutes, you get the smell in your nostrils of frying food. Very pleasant if you like that kind of thing. And further clattering. So yeah, you reckon in a few minutes there'll be some breakfast waiting for you.
I probably wouldn't head downstairs by myself until someone else goes down.
Once you're out of the bathroom, Willie's going to head into the bathroom, and then he pretty much goes and gets himself dressed and heads down.
Are you still at the top of the stairs, Dane?
So I think Dana sort of wandered downstairs as Willie's left, and as the breakfast seems to be coming out, maybe taking a seat at the table we were at last night.
Okay.
I will have woken and I will have opened my eyes, not made a start, but just as if I was just ready for this, and then would have made a show of packing all of the belongings I'd thrown everywhere last night back into my gear, and I think I'd wait until Willie had gone downstairs, and I'd look around to see if anybody was noticing what I was doing, and I'd walk down the hall and go into his room.
I would probably be in the room when you were packing, so. You would still do that if I was there, presumably.
Would I? Probably not.
Because
I'd assumed you'd gone downstairs as well.
Then, given that I didn't know Dane went downstairs, I was planning on waiting for someone. You know what? If Willie went down, I would have gone down with him. Willie seems nice. So yes, you're safe.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have a look, basically. What does it look like?
It is a single room, so all the rooms are reasonably similar. You've all got kind of the same bed and bedside cabinet and the little light. He has quite a large trunk at the base of his bed. His satchel doesn't appear to be there. You would imagine he probably carries that everywhere that he goes. And when you think back to last night, you think you can probably remember him having it on him when he came out in his pajamas into the hallway.
So protective then.
Yeah. But yes, there's a trunk at the base of the bed and a couple of items of clothing scattered kind of on the bed as well.
What clothing?
Just a pair of trousers and a shirt.
I might step forward and just have a quick look in the pockets, see if there's anything in there.
There is a couple of coins in one of the pockets, and nothing in the other pocket.
Okay. And then I'll just take a quick look at the window and just see where it looks out onto.
Yep, so this looks out onto the square as well. It's basically next to Melvin and Dane's room. Slightly further along, so out of the corner of your eye, you can kind of see the church up that end, and the memorial out to the right. Whereas Melvin and Dane's is sort of looking directly down onto the memorial.
Okay, well, I think I'm happy with that then. I don't think I'm going to look in the trunk, to be honest. Well, I might sort of give it a glance and see if it's got a lock, but I would assume it does.
It's actually left open. Not open, but not, sort of not properly closed.
All right. Well, in that case, I think I'll just tweak the lid open with my foot and have a quick glance.
Basically, looked pretty full of clothes with a few notebooks sprawled on top of that. Some of which look new and some of which look full, like heavily used.
Okay. Well, I'm this far. I'll snag a notebook and just rifle through it and have a look what he's been writing.
It looks very similar to the ones that you saw him open last night. So translations from sort of a Nithsdale slang to English.
No spooky drawings.
No spooky drawings, no.
That's what she's looking for. Yeah. Okay. I'll dump it back in the trunk then and walk out the room.
Cool. So everybody's downstairs.
Yeah.
So Duncan comes out from the back room with basically a full sort of fried meal for each of you, and tea as well. And Willie says, I thought that you said you didn't have that much food in because you thought I was going to be the only one here. And Duncan says, well, after the night that we had, I used some of my personal supplies just to get you all the start of the day that you deserve. You'll be heading up to Glasgow, obviously, and that train food, it's not the same as a pub breakfast. Puts a plate out in front of each of you and gives you each a tea.
Quiet, thank you.
I will gratefully accept the tea, and I will go. I apologize for getting so shaken up last night. I know my behavior was a little out of order. It was quite a frightening experience.
Not at all, ma'am. Shouldn't have happened.
Thank you for feeding us so well.
Of course, it's the least I could do. You note that there is still a table in front of the door that he put there last night.
You didn't happen to have any realizations in the night who or how they might have got in, did you?
No, I'm afraid not. I'm going to pass this matter on to the council today, and I'm going to make a couple of inquiries of my own. But don't let that worry you. This will be none of your concern.
The council?
Aye, the village council. We're a small village, so some matters go to the council before we potentially go to a town's constabulary.
Right. So the constabulary are up at Thornhill then?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you had any news on our journey to Glasgow?
Not yet. I imagine that Jimmy will be around before too long to ferry you on your way. If I haven't heard from him in, let's say, the next hour, I'll head over to his home and check in on him.
Thank you for that.
He goes back to the kitchen and comes out with another plate and says, do you mind if I join you for breakfast?
No, sit down.
Lovely. He sits and tucks into his food, gives himself sort of a grateful every few bites as he puts something in his mouth. And you notice after a short while that there's actually some music in the background, and you spot a gramophone in the corner of the room that you hadn't noticed the night before, or at least that you presume it was there the night before and you didn't notice it.
There's meant to be some hint.
And it's just playing some jazz music quite quietly. It's quite pleasant while you're having your breakfast.
How conspicuous is the gramophone? Is it like actively odd that we would have missed it?
No, not overly, because it's one of the sort of in the 20s you could get these kind of like trunk style ones, and it's one of those. So it was on a table in the corner. If it was sort of closed up, you could have quite easily not noticed it. Cool. It wasn't particularly light when you came in. You were very sort of frazzled from the day's events. You could have quite easily missed it.
I think I'll turn to the barkeep and go, lovely music. Do you get much live music in here? of an evening?
There is one group in the village. It's much more sort of folky though than this kind of music. He continues talking, and while he's talking, you note that the music coming from the gramophone is sort of distorting, and sort of changing pitch and then speeding up and slowing down, and you all start to actually feel slightly queasy. It's as if something is sort of distorting the air and making this sound not quite right by the time it's got to you. And Duncan's continuing to talk.
I'll sort of stop for a moment and go, oh, but it does seem like there is something slightly amiss with how it's working. Do let me have a look. I'm rather good with mechanisms and gadgets and things like that.
What do you mean? Willie's there, just kind of, he's finished his breakfast and he's just kind of tapping the table and nodding his head to the music.
I will have put my fork down and be looking actively queasy and weirded out by this after having looked out the window.
I'd be like, oh, I think the frequency of the sound must be off or something. Just turn a few knobs, it should be okay. Can you not hear it?
No, I'm really not sure what. I mean, jazz isn't to everybody's taste, but
oh, it's certainly to mine. I'm very fond of jazz. It doesn't sound quite right. Let me just have a look. I'm sure if there's nothing wrong with it, then it's I won't find anything.
Of course,
I'll step up and go and have a look at it.
Yeah, I'll look at Dane and Melvin and be like, at this.
Just as you're about to touch the one of the knobs on the gramophone, it's almost like the space just kind of almost catches up with itself. It's a very weird sensation to happen in your ears. It just sort of snaps back into place very suddenly, and the music sounds fine again. Can you each make me a sanity roll, please? Willie is looking at you all, as is Duncan, a little sort of confused about what you've kind of been getting out with what you've been saying.
I actually passed that one. I got a 34 and my sanity is 39.
Okay.
I rolled 72 and my sanity 72.
Oh, okay.
That's
a pass. Yeah.
Oh, good.
I rolled 61, sanity 75.
Great.
I did not pass.
Okay. Melvin is probably... I think everybody's sort of queasiness dissipates, though you might still feel quite uneasy. I think Melvin's queasiness gets a little worse as at the exact moment that it kind of snaps back as to how it should be. I think Melvin feels pretty unwell, probably visibly sort of pallid.
Yeah. I don't know whether he's potentially sort of running to go upstairs to the bathroom. If he's having that strong of a reaction to it. I think
Dane is kind of noticing that as well, and is going to ask Duncan if he can move the table and get some fresh air into the room.
Yes, of course. Yeah, he goes over to help move the table as well.
I think even though it didn't cause me stress in that sense, Jemima still kind of stood up and stepped away from her plate and is just wandering out the door, just to kind of get some fresh air outside the front door.
Yeah, so he sort of unbolts the door, unlocks it, pulls it open, and actually pushes the table in front of the door to hold it open.
I'll just quietly say thank you as he does it.
I will follow Dr. Wallace out.
It is a lovely day outside. Blue skies, some kind of wispy white clouds, but mostly blue, bright sunshine, cold because it's February, but sort of crisp. There's a little bit of frost on the ground, and very, very lovely sort of late winter's morning.
I let out a big sigh as I get out the door.
I step out the door, and the first thing I do is my eyes just sort of snap to the church, and I just sort of look at it, And I think my character, she's got a sort of a nose for something that's going on. There's a mystery. There's something she doesn't know, and she wants to know because that's her job. So she's sort of looking at it, and she turns to Dr. Wallace and goes, "Would you care to take a walk?"
Let's wait for the others.
I think at some point Melvin will return from the bathroom. Maybe look like he just splashed some water on his face. Looking a bit worse for wear, probably though.
Is Dane still inside, or did he come out as well?
No, he's been sat down. But as Melvin comes down, he'll kind of join him and head to the door.
Willie follows. If everybody else is going outside, Willie follows out as well.
I think Esther, when you said no, just sort of nodded in a suit yourself way and walked off towards the church, to be honest.
Didn't say no. If you do that, I'll probably hesitate for a second, then start walking behind you. Is there anyone out and about? I mean, it's not that early in the morning, is it? So.
There's not anyone out and about at the moment. If you're looking around sort of the houses that are on the edge of the square, you see some movement inside them. So it's not like it's completely deserted, but there's not anybody. There's not anybody outdoors at the moment.
Okay, that already makes me feel a bit better because we've only seen 3 people in this village so far, and no one else out anywhere. So okay, just the fact the movement looks like people in the houses makes me feel better. But there's still no one out, no one in any gardens, no one wandering around the streets.
Not that you can see currently, no. But so basically, when you come out of the front of the pub, you've kind of got a view of the square. And then there's the road that you came in on that goes out opposite you, and that road kind of continues past the pub. So there are more houses down that way and a couple of sort of offshoot streets from that main road as well. So if you're just sort of looking at the square, there's nobody outside there at the moment.
Okay, cool. I will look back towards Dane and Melvin, who are presumably just leaving, and just go this way. Esther won't wait.
Esther is not waiting. Esther had put on a facade of being okay and is absolutely not okay, and is speeding up towards the church. I'm not sure when she'll get there, depending on how far away the church is, but it seems to be within sight. So
I guess we could catch up with you with your limp as well.
It's about
storming off with her cane, clicking on the ground.
It's about 100 meters away, I think, the church. Maybe slightly less than 100 meters to the front door from where you are.
Yeah, I will walk up and open the door.
One of the doors is already open, as is often the case on a village church. One's open and one's closed.
Yeah.
It's not
so
Sunday,
you just walk. No, it's Tuesday.
That's right.
So you're just walking straight in?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. It's very nice. There's sort of it's not. The outside of the building looks like a classic church, sort of, stone built, and it's got stained glass windows, but the inside has been almost modernized. So sort of wooden fittings in lots of places, and there are pews, but they're not like 300 years old, and they're sort of newer wood. And the pulpit is obviously straight ahead of you. There doesn't appear to be anybody in here.
Is there some kind of cloister or like an area where it looks like pastor might be?
So off to the front left, there is what looks like a sort of the door that you might think would lead to the sort of cloister area.
Yeah, I'll walk right up to it and knock on the door.
Okay. There is no response.
Right. Well,
I'm assuming I kind of catch up with you at this point, and I'm looking around as well. Does it look like anyone's been in here recently? I mean, the door's open, so.
There's no obvious sign. Somebody could have potentially been in here 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
There could have been nobody in here for a week. Yeah, no, there's nothing nothing that obvious. But
or like
also,
an obviously open book that someone's been reading or something like that.
Yeah, but also it's not, just to dispel the sort of abandoned village thing. It's also not caked in dust or anything like that. So it's sort of,
I think I'll have a quick glance around and just call out, pastor or priest.
It echoes a couple of times, and still no response.
So I think Dana's probably while this is all going on, just having a look around, looking for any crosses that resemble what we saw.
Yeah, I've got the notebook out
on the walls and things.
I've got the notebook out so we can see what it looks like to compare.
Okay.
Esther walks straight back out the church and is now looking for someone to ask to find out where the priest is.
Okay. So what's Melvin doing?
He's probably sort of hanging out near the door. He's not quite sure whether they should be in there, so he's half in the door, half keeping watch. But yeah, he's not sure. Again, he doesn't want to get in trouble, so he doesn't want to be accused of keeping watch either. So he's sort of trying to be sort of hidden, but again, also look like he's not trying to hide. I don't know whether you want to do a roll to see how successful he is with that.
We'll leave that for the moment. So Esther's run outside, and Jemima and Dana having a look around the inside of the church. Yeah, limped outside. Yeah, is that right?
Yeah, limped.
So what exactly are you looking for? Like a literal sort of ornament of this cross that you've seen, and where are you looking?
I would say
how thoroughly are you, how long are you planning to spend in here looking for this thing, or are you just sort of glancing around, see if you can spot anything?
I would say if Dane's looking, I would go to him and show him the picture so we both have a reference for it first. And then maybe we have a quick talk about it. I'm like, do you think we're looking for a picture or maybe an object or anything could be like it? I'm not much into churches really myself.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not seeing anything that really jumps out. So Dane is kind of looking across the walls and the ceiling and the architecture to see if anything looks similar, maybe flicking through a couple of the kind of hymn books if there's anything on the pews, but not really in too much detail, just passing the time almost.
I'll look at like maybe the floor, because I know there's sometimes like graves in the floor as well, see if there's anything in them, or like carvings in the wood or something like that as well.
Okay. Jemima does find like a burial aisle, which all seem to be related to a family called the Menzies, but there isn't that cross is not there.
Okay.
But yeah, you note that full sort of aisle of sort of tombstoney things are all that one family.
We don't know any Menzies yet, do we, in the village?
No. So, Skye, the only people that you can see are Willie and Duncan still stood outside the pub currently. Did you want to speak to them, or are you going to continue past them and look around some more of the village?
I think I'll walk out and I'll probably look around, just trying to see if there's anybody else to ask, and I'll just look and I'll see Willie and Duncan still stood outside the pub, and I'll frown, and I think I'll just stop and I'll go and wait next to Mr. Caffey. And I think I'll turn to him and go, do you know much about villages like these? Where does the priest usually live?
Jack?
Oh, sorry. I was
Sorry.
in a note. Sorry, repeat that.
I'll go, Mr. Caffey, do you know much about these small villages?
No, unfortunately, I don't. I was, I was mainly brought up in a boarding school. I mean, as far as churches, we had a chapel, but I don't know how
if
much
you
help that
keep
is.
your eyes peeled, I want to talk to that priest.
I will.
I have a strong feeling he has something to tell us about this.
So the search inside the church for the cross proves fruitless, unfortunately. So just for my benefit, you're basically searching within the main sort of square of the church building, the area that the parishioners would come into.
I probably wouldn't go out like in any clearly closed door rooms or cross the probably line to the altar where you're not usually supposed to go. But I'd have a look at those spaces if the door's open or I could see the altar easily enough.
Okay. The area that we thought might be the sort of cloister area, if you try that door, it is locked.
Yeah.
You can get up to the altar area. You can't see anything. You know, sort of, you can see the things kind of laid out, can't you, at the front normally? You can't see anything that... Obviously, there are crosses and religious paraphernalia around, but none that are, you know, this specific design. So, are you going to check in the entrance area? Which so when you're done looking in the church and you're going to sort of meet back up with Melvin and Esther, would you be looking in that sort of entrance hall?
Maybe you do that while I'm looking at the altar or something, Dane?
Yeah, I think so. I think given the other two have moved outside, sort of enthusiasm for this has started to pass, but I'm still keeping up the kind of having a bit of a look as on my way out. So I probably would have a bit of a glance in the entrance as I'm heading to the exit.
Do you want to make me a spot hidden roll?
Can do. So, okay, looking for 25 or under. Come on, Google. 42, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, you don't spot anything on the way out, and you exit into bright sunshine. You'd almost forgotten how bright the sunshine was in the kind of relative dimness of the church, because the sun hasn't quite got up to a point where it's pouring through the stained glass windows yet. So it was mildly dim in there. Is Dr. Wallace also...
If realistically,
exiting?
if Mr. Harrow's left, I probably fairly swiftly exit, presuming we searched the church and haven't found anything. So I don't think I'd have a look specifically at the entrance at that point. Okay. I would have a look outside the church and maybe at the graveyard though, unless people are rushing off. But
is Willie still outside with the four of us at this point?
So Willie and Duncan are still stood outside the pub. Just kind of taking in the morning, it seems, and having a chat. You can hear their voices kind of floating along the breeze towards you.
So I think Dane is going to kind of wander over and ask if either of them know where the vicarage is. So I think he's got a strong sense that this cross is the only thing that is going to help them find anything more about it. And similar to Esther, he's going on a bit of a warpath to find this priest.
Okay. Are you all heading over there in that case then? Because I think Esther was basically planning on going there anyway.
Yeah, I think so. Well, Melvin is, at least.
Yeah.
I'll follow if we all go.
Cool.
I was either planning on doing that or sitting in the middle of the square and waiting for him.
Why not both? So as you head back over towards them, Duncan says, "It's a lovely church, isn't it? It's been relatively newly done out inside. It still keeps the classic feel with the stained glass windows, but some nice other modern additions. I think it's a really lovely example of a small village church."
I'll turn to him and go, "Oh well, lucky to have been granted funding for it. I've heard that many village churches are being somewhat bereft recently in terms of funds.
Yes. Well, we had in terms of the number of people that live in the village, we had an uncharacteristically large amount of them, unfortunately, lose their lives in the war. And a couple of them with no family to speak of left the money to the village. Well, we've been able to get no funding at all from outside. So even the memorial that you see being built, that's being done with funds from those poor young men's estates.
Dr. Wallace will just quietly say, "Such a waste," and then walk over to the memorial, probably.
I'm very sorry.
Yes, it's a shame. Aye. In a village this size, you really do know everybody, and everybody lost really is a great loss to us all.
The memorial, then, you said it is just a completely unfinished block of stone at this point. There's nothing distinctive about it.
Yes.
Having a closer look. Okay.
I'll turn to the barkeep and be like, who's working on the memorial? Local stonemason?
It's a chap from Thornhill. We've been fortunate again in a sense in that he was in the war as well, and he's kind of doing this for a reduced rate as a kindness to the families of those that have lost people. The downside of that is that we wait until he's got no other work on. So it is taking a while, but yes, worth it in the end.
Yes,
it's important
absolutely.
that we remember these things so that they don't happen again.
I think Melvin will sort of ask. He says, "You haven't got a drawing of any of what it'll look like when it's finished, by any chance? It'd be just be nice. I don't see myself coming round this part of the world again."
Certainly, in the next half hour, I can go and get one from the council for you. They have the original drawings.
I mean, if you go in that way, I just think it'd be quite nice to see something. Maybe not pleasant's the right word, but
well, if young Jimmy doesn't show up soon, I'm going to have to go and grab him, so I can do it all as part of the same trip.
And the priest that was here yesterday, does he have a vicarage?
Yes, it's just down the main road there. Yes, just down to the right.
Right. Well, I was hoping maybe he could shed some light on the odd situation yesterday. I mean, he's sure to know the parish quite well. No?
Yes, of course he is. You can't miss it. It's got a sign in front that says it's the vicarage. So,
Has he been here a while?
Yes, he was born here. So,
thank you. And I'll turn and look at the others in a sort of "Are you coming?" way, and then sort of walk towards the vicarage.
yeah, I think Melvin will follow.
Yeah, Dane too.
I think Dr. Wallace is a bit floaty or something now, so she follows kind of a bit more slowly.
Okay. You head down this road. You pass a young girl with her parents. She's kind of skipping up the road, and she goes, "Good morning," as she passes, and the parents kind of nod and smile at you as you pass them. And you get down to the vicarage, and the front door is open.
Like sort of wide open, or sort
of pretty wide open. Yeah, so it's along the main road, but but slightly set back from the other houses. And there's a sort of a fence down, a low fence down the front with a gate as well, and the gate is open. And then there's a small yard leading up to the front of the house. And yes, the front door is open. Not just sort of a little; it's pretty wide open.
I'll turn to the others and I'll go. Will you give me a moment just to talk to the priest privately? Last night brought up some things that well, I just like to talk to him to put my bad memories to rest. Perhaps he can help me.
Are you sure you want to go in there alone? He could be dangerous. Maybe it would be best if Mr. Harrow went in with you. Just to keep watch, or.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be fine. It's just a priest. I'll be 10 minutes. I'll call you when I'm done.
I will I will tear out the page that I drew. I will tear out the picture that I drew from last night from my notebook and hand it to you.
Thank you, Dr. Wallace. I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I'll take good care of it.
He must know what it is. Ask him.
Oh, yes, of course. And I'll walk up to the house, and I'll sort of knock on the door, but I won't really wait to be asked in. I'll just walk in, and as I walk in, my demeanor will change, and it'll turn from the very polite to quite fierce looking, I suppose. And I'll walk in and I'll go, priest, are you in?
No response.
Need to talk to that priest. I think I'll try again. I'll be like, priest, very important that we talk.
Still no response. So as you come into the door, you're looking into a sort of kitchen dining area. There is a door, and there's a fireplace in here as well. There's a door off to the right, and at the back end of this room, some stairs going up.
Assuming that I can hear Esther shouting this from outside, which probably can, I'll wander around to the back, see if there's a garden that he might be in.
There is basically out the back. There's kind of small sort of alleyways between the houses, and the back is basically open field up to the hill that's kind of behind the village. So there is a back door which is closed, but it's not a garden per se out the back.
Got it.
And you can't see a sign of anybody out here.
He wouldn't be doing something back here, so that's fine.
I think I'll call up the stairs one more time and I'll go, priest, you know why I'm here. I saw everything. I think I'll poke my head into any of the down floor rooms, downstairs rooms, just to see if there's anybody in there.
So I think at this point, Dane is kind of comfortable that he wouldn't be interrupting something if he sort of approaches and is just kind of standing, I guess, a bit behind you, Esther, almost waiting for permission to help you look around. But
well, he's not here. I don't know if they have an open door policy in this village or what. I think that. Well, I don't like to go poking around in people's houses, even if their door is wide open. I think perhaps you'd better, or someone had better, go back and just ask the barkeep whether this is normal.
I can go. I'll.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you. Before we go rummaging around.
Jonny, are there any kind of signs of life in there? Is there lights on, or any smell like any food been cooking or anything, or is it pretty much abandoned?
Yeah, there's a teacup on the table. Do you want to feel it and see whether it's warm?
If it's sort of reasonably in reach, without walking too far in, then possibly.
Yeah, you'd be about 5 steps into the house probably to.
I think Esther will find either the kitchen or the living room, anywhere to sit down, and we'll just sit down at the table and be prepared to wait, basically. In a sort of like, I'm not intruding on your house, but I'm here to wait to talk to you.
Yeah, we'll definitely investigate the tea.
Yeah, it's sort of lukewarm. So you would imagine it's been made in the last hour.
Look, if he's gone somewhere, he'll be back soon. He's not in the church. There can't be that many places he could be. I'm sure he'll be back soon.
Okay, we can wait.
Okay, so you guys are waiting there. Melvin is going back to the pub. What's Jemima doing?
So where are we in the village now? You said we're still kind of in the middle. There's houses behind his house too. It's not like we're at the edge of town.
No, sorry, there are not houses behind his. So behind his is like open sort of field, and then there's a hill that runs behind the village. So there are houses further along, if that was what you meant, sorry, but directly behind, no. Okay. So this road continues past his house and has more houses along it.
Got you. So basically I'm at the back of his house now, looking out across the field. I will go and do a short walk to the field and sit on the dry stone wall, presumably at the edge of the field, and just have a moment to myself.
Okay, very nice. Melvin gets back to the pub, and Willie and Duncan are not outside anymore. The door of the pub is closed. You can obviously try and open it to go in, but they're not stood outside anymore, basically.
Yeah, I think you'll try the handle.
You get in. Willie is sat at the table that you've basically taken as your own, jotting down in one of his notebooks. He looks to be copying from some sort of scraps of paper into what may be a more sort of final document. And Duncan is wiping down the tables. Hello there, Mr. Caffey.
Hi, Mr. Kilbride, Willie. We got to the vicarage, and his
it's lovely house, isn't it? Lovely.
Oh yeah. It really is. His door's wide open. I know priests tend to be friendly with the village, but is that normal for around here?
For John, it's not abnormal. Obviously, we're kind of in the middle of nowhere. Everybody, as I've said, knows everybody, which is why for me last night was all the more concerning. Obviously, somebody could be forgiven for thinking that the new people in the village were causing trouble, he said, and looks at Willie and kind of gives you a little smile as Willie doesn't pay any attention because he's writing in his book. And he says, if his door's open, I wouldn't be concerned about it. I'm sure he wouldn't be overly offended if he got back and you were in there either, to be honest.
When I say open, I mean open, not just unlocked. Like
he's maybe run out to the store. It's only a couple of doors down from him.
Okay, I'll check there just to make sure he doesn't end up with a surprise if we're hanging around. I'll
no problem.
Him there.
He looks up at the clock and goes, "I must go and have a word with Jimmy for you. I'll go make sure that you don't miss your train."
Well, thank you.
And he kind of scarpers out before you even leave the building. Willie's still writing.
I think with that, Melvin will probably head towards the shop to see if he can see the vicar there.
Yep. So this is one of, I don't know if you've ever seen the village shop that's basically in a house. So presumably this person lives on the upper floor, and the downstairs is basically used to run a small store. And there is a woman in there, sort of moving some bits around. And as you do you go in?
Yeah, he'll go in.
So as you open the door, there's a small bell attached to the door, and it ding, as you open the door, and the woman turns around and goes, "Oh, good morning."
Good morning. I'm just came in. I don't know if you heard about the train.
Oh yes. Terrible luck for you.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate. I was just wondering if you knew where the vicar was. We've gone to his house and doesn't seem to be in, but we'd just like to have a just a quick word with him if you know where he is.
I'm not sure actually. I mean, he does house calls, so I mean, theoretically, he could be with anybody in the village. I haven't seen him in here this morning, I'm afraid, so I'm not sure I can give you any more help than that.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, if you do see him, just sort of let him know that we were looking for him.
Yes, of course. Should I point him in the direction of the pub?
Well, I suppose so. That's where we're staying. I imagine we'll find our way back there at some point. Thank you very much.
Well,
I'm Melvin, by the way. I don't know whether I introduced myself.
Lovely to meet you, Melvin. I'm Rachel. It's a pleasure.
Nice to meet you. I think with that, he'll leave and head towards the vicar's house again.
Esther and Dane just been sat at the table.
Yeah.
I think probably, I suppose he pokes his head round the door and sees them sitting at the table. I think you can see it from the door, can't you? Where they're...
Yes, yeah.
And you sort of say, well, I asked Duncan. He didn't know where he was. He said he might have been at the shop. So I went to the shop. The shopkeeper there, Rachel, she didn't know. So I sort of just said, you know, if she sees him, just to let him know that we're at the pub looking for him. So
and he said it was normal for him to leave his door open, wide open, in January.
He didn't seem too concerned.
January? It's freezing in here. Can't go without a coat.
I mean, I don't know. Like I say, I told him it was wide open. I didn't just leave it unlocked. I said it was wide open, and
I don't think that man's telling the truth.
Said maybe he's on a house call or something.
This does feel strange. I mean, as we're all here, I think we better just have a quick look around. If some of you are happy to wait by the door so we don't surprise him, but I think it's reasonable at this point. How do you guys feel?
Is that right? He's a vicar.
Well, I'd like to talk to him, and I will happily wait by the door, and you guys can have a look around if you like, and you will hear me talking to him, so you know to come back downstairs if you are to go upstairs, and not look too suspicious or anything.
Let's just have a quick look. Let's just make sure he's not asleep upstairs. He might have been reading this afternoon. Just had a nice cup of tea.
With the door open. Right. Well, I'll go stand by the door.
So I think Dane is going to kind of have just gingerly step inside and have a glance into each room that he can, just to make sure there's not someone obviously there.
Yep. So obviously you're in the sort of kitchen diner initially, and then there is a door to the right at the back of the room, which takes you into the living area. So there are a couple of chairs in here and a table. The fireplace that you saw in the kitchen is sort of double-sided, so they use the same chimney area. So there's another fire in there. There is a Bible on the table in there, as you would probably expect. A small radio on a table at the edge of the room as well. And you can't see anything else of note in here.
Are there any other signs of life in terms of stuff that looks recently used?
No, on the table there was also a plate with some crumbs on, so probably ate and had his cup of tea before going wherever he's gone.
And the fires are all out?
Yes. There is, if you get close to kind of feel, there is a small amount of heat coming from the living room side. So that's presumably been on this morning.
So I will just make one more kind of shout. Is anybody home? As loud as I can.
No response. Did you want to go upstairs?
So from that room, are there any other kind of doors that are open where I can easily be able to go in? Or
so downstairs is basically these two rooms. From the living room, there is the door that goes out the back as well. And then in the kitchen, there's the stairs upstairs.
Okay, so I'm going to shout out to the rest of the group. I don't think he's here, but I'm just going to have a quick look upstairs.
I'm going to have a look down the road both ways and just see if anyone's coming.
Yeah, so I think Daniel's going to, again, gingerly sort of walk up the steps to the point where he can see over the top step and see what we can see.
So, Skye, Esther, as she looks down the street, sees Duncan, the barman, go to knock on a door, sort of on the edge of the square.
Yeah.
And then go inside. So Dane looks over the top step at the top of the stairs. This is a small landing area with 2 doors off it. So directly in front of you is what looks like a bedroom door. Slightly ajar, and you can see a bed in there.
I think at this point Dane would shout again, "Is anybody home?"
Right, I think I'll just turn and call into the house and go, Mr. Harrow, I think it's quite clear nobody is by now. I think perhaps we'd better leave it. I just saw Mr. Kilbride going into a house. I think it might be the council house. The house that's who he said he was going to go and talk to. He was going to go talk to the council.
There was the council, and there was Jimmy, the driver of the cart, as well.
Okay, so yeah, Dane's going to have a kind of another quick glance at that door, and then decide to just retreat and head back out to the group.
Okay,
like a hero.
Did Melvin just stand there awkwardly the whole time?
Oh yeah, he's very uncomfortable about this whole sort of thing.
Oh. I think, honestly, Jemima's probably still on the wall and isn't particularly planning on moving for now unless someone comes to get her, although she's probably listening, slightly bemused at your shouting. I'm going upstairs now.
Good. So, you're all back in the kitchen diner, apart from Jemima.
I think I'm going to look very frustrated and just sort of take a glance around and just see if there's any books, any notebooks, any writing, anything like that I can read and snoop upon.
Okay. There is a bookshelf that's sort of it's almost in the doorway between the kitchen and living room, which has a number of sort of hymn books, a couple of different translations of the Bible, and also a couple of notebooks as well, if you wanted to have a flick through those.
Yeah, why not? I mean, when they're downstairs, I don't think they're private. So I'll pull one off the shelf and have a look.
Okay. Okay, so you flick through one. It seems to be basically a journal. Not quite daily. There are some days skipped, sometimes a couple of days skipped. But a lot of it seems to be about his sort of spiritual state, how his relationship with God is at that time. Some of it is references other villagers. Never names them because obviously, somebody could get hold of this, but sometimes there'll be sort of single letter initials and that kind of thing when he's talking about somebody over multiple different entries. But nothing particularly untoward as far as you can see. And the other has some quite good sketches. So there's some mostly landscapes. So things that you can see from the village, parts of the village. He doesn't seem to get out particularly very much of the village, but they're, relatively adept drawings.
Okay.
All pencil. And that's all that you find on there that's of any note. Bless you.
I managed to mute before I sneezed. Right. I think my eyebrows will probably be raising through my hairline at this point. But I'll sort of snap the book shut and put them back on the shelf and turn to the others and go, we really need to find this priest. And I think I'll probably walk upstairs actually very quickly and just open the door into the bedroom that Dane was having a look in and open the door into the other. I've sort of had it. I'm like, no, this is ridiculous.
Okay.
What do I find?
So the bedroom has quite a basic bedside cabinet, a couple of bookshelves in there, which again, certain hymn books and a couple of different Bibles. There's also a couple of different religious texts. So there's a sort of old beat up copy of the Torah on there. And then also some like Charles Dickens and stuff, just sort of fiction as well. This is obviously his private place, so he doesn't have to have the facade of only having religious texts available like he does downstairs. And then that's it really in this room. There is a window out the back again that looks out to the hill at the back, and you recognize that view from one of his sketches. And you kind of have a moment of sort of thinking that he's really captured it very well in his drawing that he's done. The other room is a bathroom, which has sort of a tin bath, which obviously he would fill.
I think I think I've said enough, and I just walk back downstairs and just go. And I'm muttering to myself, just like, I need to talk to that priest. Need to talk to that priest. Need to talk to that priest. Right? Okay. And I'll call to. I'll go, Mr. Harrow, Mr. Caffey. He's not here. I think we'd better go. And also shut his door for him on the way out. Never know what'll get in. And I think I'll probably go and find Dr. Wallace because I'm slightly concerned I haven't seen her in a while.
You'll have spotted her out of the upstairs window, actually, sat on the dry stone wall.
In that case, I'll go and find her.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, as everybody leaves, I will sort of close the vicarage door behind us, and then follow to meet Jemima.
As you kind of wander up behind me, then I'm just like, lovely view, isn't it?
I turn to Dr. Wallace and go, yes, Priest is rather a good artist. He captured it perfectly.
I take it we haven't found him then?
No.
Or anyone else particularly helpful?
No. Right. Well, I'm at a loss. What do you suggest? I just need to talk to him. I need to talk to that priest.
When I was upstairs, you mentioned someone heading into a house nearby. Can you remind me what that was?
Oh, it was just Mr. Kilbride. I believe he was going into a house on the street, possibly to get Jimmy or, the cartman, the one who doesn't speak, or.
Well, maybe we can save them the trouble of finding us and go and see them there. I think it's about time we find out what our plans are for the onward journey.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yes,
we should leave.
Onward journey sounds appealing.
Onward. Yes. Okay. And
okay.
Limp off in that direction.
Yep. So you head up the main street, past the pub, and you're pretty certain that you find the front door of the house that you saw Duncan going into.
I don't think I would go up to the house. I think I'd probably just go and wait by the monument because I'd expect him to come out at some point. It's a bit rude to go up to somebody's house. I mean, saying that as I've just trampled all over a vicariage's house.
I would also, while we're on the way, ask for the drawing back that I gave you of the picture.
Yeah, I'll pull it out, and as I'm pulling it out, I'll just sort of look at it and just be like, no, and just like doesn't matter. Just hand it back to you and be like, it's fine. We'll be going soon. We'll be leaving soon.
I take it back.
Like you have to slightly tug it out of my hand.
Yeah.
As you sat there, you hear the door of the pub open, and you turn and you see Willie, sort of dressed as if he's going for a walk or a hike, and closes the door to the pub and says, "Oh, good morning again to yous, fine fellows. How are you? Are you over last night's mystery?"
I think we will be when we can get away from the village. I think we'll all feel a lot better.
I think we're all a little bit shaken up.
Yes, it's a shame that happened because this truly is it's a look at it. I mean, if you see it through fresh eyes, it's really is a lovely little place. So it's a shame that your experience has been tarred a little by what happened there.
Yeah, it's just very, very odd.
Is Duncan hasn't come back yet then?
No, he hasn't. He was obviously there was 2 or 3 places he was going to go. So anyway, he told me to just get on with my day. So that lake that I told you about, I'm going to head out for a wee stroll down there. Maybe go have a chat with some of the fishermen and see if they can give me any more interesting phrases that I can pop in my book.
Safe travels.
Same to you. Obviously, I mean this in the kindest way possible. Hopefully, we won't see each other again.
I smile.
Good luck, and I hope your book is a roaring success.
For those of you not there with us last night, when I spoke to Mr. Harrow here in answer to your question, cheers It's Slangivar. So Slangivar to use. And he heads off.
I feel like I need to gain a point of sanity back for that. Sadly not.
For the wholesome interaction. Okay, so you sit for a little while on the monument.
It's quite cold, isn't it? So I might just go get an extra layer from inside
It
if
is
I'm
quite
sitting for a
cold,
little
yeah.
while.
So you sit there for a little while. You see a few more people kind of wander past. People maybe heading from this end down to go to the stores or just for a walk. People are relatively friendly. They nod as they pass and smile at you. Kind of sets a stark feeling versus how you felt last night. In the middle of the night, feeling sort of terrified out of your beds. Today seems like a complete opposite.
I think Esther will probably calm down a bit as that happens. Sort of, like the night seems a little bit further away, and I imagine it's getting to be around lunchtime-ish.
Yeah, you're about 11 o'clock now. I think probably by this point.
And I think she didn't eat much breakfast at all. And had some tea and is now pretty hungry. And having calmed down, we'll just have taken some deep breaths and just be like, okay. Wow, that was quite a morning. I'm absolutely ravenous. I think I'll go get something to eat and sort of walk towards the pub.
Jonny, are there any names visible on the monument, even though it's partially finished? Is there like a half-completed list? Or...
There are no names yet put on the list. So Esther's heading back into the pub for a moment to get some food. Is anybody else going with her, or are people staying on the monument?
I will stay, as I know we're looking to meet someone, so I'm happy to stay here. Enjoy the sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
Before Esther goes, I was going to ask her which house it was that she saw Duncan go into.
I pointed out.
Yep.
Normal-looking house?
Yes, yeah. These are all very much of a kind along this strip, so they're all pretty similar.
Okay.
I just before I go, I'll go. Well, I'm gonna go get something to eat. Please let me know if you find out anything about our train. And yes, I'll sort of turn around and walk off with my cane.
Did you have food with you? Would Esther have had food with her, or would you be kind of going to root around behind the bar to get some?
I can imagine I was probably going to root around and then put some money on the bar.
Okay, that's fine. You managed to get sort of some fruit and some nuts, enough to do you for now. Or you could probably grab some bread or something if you wanted to go through the back of the bar into the kitchen.
I think I'd go into the kitchen. Esther's not really shy about going into people's rooms, or the kitchen is not exactly a private place.
In which case, you'd be able to make yourself some kind of sandwich if you wanted to.
I think I'd make a sandwich, and I might make a sandwich for the others as well. Actually,
there's a very sort of local-looking jam. Looks like it's in a jar that's probably been used 100 times to make jams and cleaned out and reused and cleaned out and reused. You could make a few of those. And just as you head back out and get to the monument, the door to that house opens, and Duncan comes out looking very somber. And he sort of looks down as he closes the door. He looks down at the floor and goes, and then looks up and sees you all on the monument and kind of and comes over to you and he says, So, these names won't mean anything to you, but I'm afraid that one of our villagers, Donald Menzies, has passed this morning. A couple of hours ago. And unfortunately for yous, young Jimmy has been roped into carrying the casket. So he won't be able to get you to the train, and I'm afraid the train is in just over an hour. So you may have to stay another night. And we'll leave it there.
My uncle is not going to be happy.
Just pelt him with jam sandwiches.
That would solve the somber mood.
Finally cracked.
I just like the sort of contrast between him coming out of this house where he's been told someone's died and everything, and then we were just sat on this monument, swinging our legs, eating jam sandwiches. Little wave to him.
Lovely. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. I enjoyed that.
Good.
Oh my gosh.
Are there any questions or comments in the chat that Matt would like to put on screen?
That was so frustrating to have the role play of just hunting. Most of that whole thing was hunting the vicar.
It was so impressive.
Vicar hunting.
The door.
I love how you went almost to the door, Dane. There was nothing in there anyway. Just like, no, can't do
it. Cool. So while we wait for some questions or comments from the chat, don't forget, everybody, that there are links to the social media, the Discord and the Patreon underneath. Don't forget that every Monday this is happening. And every Tuesday Vampire is happening. No.
Yes.
The other one. Yes. Every Tuesday Vampire is happening, and every Wednesday Simba Room is happening.
Yeah, that's right.
I can't wait until the end of this campaign when Matt as stream manager is the big bad, and he just appears on the stream and tells everyone, gives everyone what for.
Is it one Matt for yes, two Matts for no?
Yes. Yes.
I was trying to figure out a way where I could put two of myself on screen.
Well, we've already got two Matts. We've got a Matt and a Matthew.
Yeah,
so.
true.
It's true. It's true.
And the first Saturday of, I said the first Saturday of every April, just as this happened, because Matt coming on screen confused me. The first Saturday of every month during the day is a one-shot, different system each time, different GMs and players.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exciting. Are there any?
There's a couple of things that pop up, but also we had a follow today from just another guy named Harry. So
thanks, just another guy named
Harry.
Harry.
You, Harry. I guess. I hope. But yeah, I'll pop off again and I'll pop a couple of things up.
I found it quite endearing at the beginning, Jonny, that you had to. I'm not sure if this is true, but it looked like you had to look at notes to remember we were on episode 2.
Did I go episode 2?
Yeah.
Azimuth, thanks, Steve. A lovely atmosphere of encroaching unease. That's exactly what I'm aiming for, so that's a good compliment. Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like you don't want to rush like Cthulhu setup, because otherwise we'll just lose our minds so fast. So it's really getting a little worse every few minutes.
Last year I read a lot of folk horror novels, and I'm trying to kind of put that vibe across of nothing's really happening, but everybody's incredibly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
No questions, just want to share my deep empathy for Melvin. Absolutely. Thanks, John. I think, spin-off Everybody Loves Melvin. I will make that happen. I have a disturbing feeling that Melvin is going to be found skewered on a ritual altar at the start of episode 5.
What's the
Again,
point in the rest of us being here, really? This is a one-man Melvin show.
It would be adorable to just watch Melvin by himself bumbling about, not going to people's houses, nervously asking questions.
I feel like he'd get skewered on the altar and then apologise for getting blood everywhere.
Again, I feel like from that comment, Steve should be running my game for me. If everybody wants to replace me with Steve, so it's just awkward train conversations, and then 4 episodes of awkward train conversations, and then Melvin starting skewered on the war monument. then that's
apologising.
Yeah. Cool. That seems to be all of the questions or comments. So that's it for this week. Again, all of these go up on YouTube, as do Vampire and Simba Room and the one-shots. First Saturday in April is Morkborg. And please go back and watch episode 1 if for some reason you haven't, and then watched this. And follow us on social media. And have a lovely week, or a terrifying week, depending on which you prefer. Thanks, everyone.
People prefer terrifying in real life.
They might.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.